All right. So we're live. We're going to jump right into it. You guys can see the names on the things there. So we're not even going to go do formal introduction. We'll do that afterwards. We're just
I
gonna
love it.
we'll catch them back up. We were just having a conversation. We were getting into a groove here. We just met each other. So nice to meet you, Mike.
Nice to meet you too. Buckle up.
So you were on a roll. We were talking about a bit of, I don't know what you would call it. I hate to like give like diagnostic labels, but there's a little bit of concern about public speaking, or speaking, not public speaking, but speaking in an organized format versus being very fluid and authentic, and that challenge and fear to operate under a structured format. And you identify that you have this fear, which is sort of interesting because when I look at you and listen to you, I'm like, oh, this is clear an extrovert. You shouldn't have any problem like talking about any. I mean, I can clearly see it out of you.
Yes.
So, you know, explain yourself because I'm still trying to figure it out as we're talking here. I've only met you like for the last 5 minutes, and then you said something that really struck my senses. Is okay. I've been like this since the womb. I was like, well, she couldn't have remembered that. So how does she frame this? So you say that you've been like this since the womb. Elaborate off of that.
Okay.
Help me.
So all of us so I'm going to talk about myself, but I'm also going to wrap my work into it, if you will. And so here's where I'm going with this.
Okay.
So I the students when I work with students, I tend to be very intuitive. Like I very much am a believer in meeting the student where they are. And I would say that that comes a lot from what I know for myself is that I have been my best self
Mhm.
when people meet me where I am.
Okay.
And as I have spent more time learning about student development theory, learning about neurodiversity, learning about executive functioning, all these kinds of things, there
Mhm.
is something that is consistent, and that is that behaviors in individuals can show up for a multitude of reasons.
Mhm.
So, is it neurodiversity or is it childhood trauma? Is it
Okay.
neurodiversity or is it a response to something that you just haven't ever like done the hard stuff and worked through? Okay. Is it a personality or is it the body keeps score?
Mhm.
This kind of thing. And so
Mhm.
for me, I have spent a lot of time learning about who I am. Like self-awareness is something that for some reason, like I must have pretty much come out like sizing everyone in the room up. Like, who are these fools and what are we doing here?
Okay.
And so I was born out of wedlock. I was an unplanned
Okay.
pregnancy. So first of all, think about my parent as a pregnant person. This was a pregnancy that was filled with running the gamut of emotions, right?
Okay.
And then also at about the same time, my parent found Jesus, if you will. And when I say this, I do not say this in a tone of disrespect. I say it in the tone of you are an unwed mother. You come from, you were born out of wedlock in 1950.
Mhm.
You come from a wealth of childhood trauma. You come from being raised in a biracial marriage, like the list goes on, right? And
Okay.
then you see yourself repeating that behavior.
Mhm.
And so your pregnancy is going to be filled with a wide range of emotions. Like there's going to be joy, there's going to be fear, there's going to be disappointment, there's going to be all of the things. You're going to hit every box.
Mhm.
And then I was born prematurely.
Okay.
um, so I'm in the hospital for I think 7 days. Um, and single parent
Mhm.
leaves the hospital because they have to work.
Mhm.
Um, And then I am taken home by a family from the church.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
And then it begins. And
mm,
so I learned, I firmly believe that I learned performative is not what, that was not survival. Survival was shooting from the hip, reading the room and responding, reading the
mm.
room and reacting.
Okay.
Is that making sense?
Almost like I was born out of a sort of reactive environment, or
Ding, ding,
my
ding.
right. Um, Attachments were broken early. Um, um, did you struggle with behavioral issues in childhood?
No,
Okay.
no. Oh, oldest daughter. Oh, no, sir. Oh, no. I like towed the line.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, totally towed the line. But also, and this, when I talk about this stuff, this is in no way seeking pity. This is more so as I have learned who I am, it
Mhm.
has helped me be more willing to not judge a student's behavior by face value, but
Mhm.
judge it by what is really at the root of this. And so, yes, like yes, attachments were broken. However, on
Mhm.
the contrast, I know that I was loved and cared for. It's
Okay.
just that I was not loved and cared for in a stable environment. Is
Okay.
that making sense?
Yes. It's like you weren't in the fire alone. You had support around you while you were going through the fire.
But it was still in the fire. Like
Still
we
on
were
the fire.
still in the fire.
Mhm.
It's just that everybody, like everyone, I mean, when I hear about, quote, my childhood, like when I get little opportunities to hear about it, it's like I was like this, like adored girl. Like, oh my gosh, she's this, she's that. And so I know that I was loved and admired from a distance. But I
Okay.
also know that all of the people who loved and admired me were part of the church that I grew up in,
Okay.
which is truly a cult.
Okay.
So that love and admiration was rooted in multiple things.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, cults prey on people who need belonging.
Mhm.
It plays to belonging. So I found belonging there and love and admiration,
Mhm.
but it was entirely rooted in that we haven't gotten up on Maslow's triangle. Like we got stuck in love and belonging.
Mhm. When did you realize that dynamic was taking
Um,
place?
so I've spent like the last 2 years in a pretty thick deconstruction that is the result of an FBI
Oh,
investigation.
okay. So this is good. This rabbit hole goes deeper than this. All right, duly noted.
Yeah.
Do you care to elaborate off of that, or is it,
Um,
this is obviously my curiosity is piqued here.
let's do
Okay,
it. Let's do it.
so
Let's do it.
let's
Um,
let's run
so
it.
um yeah, I mean, I
You are a part of a cult. I mean, literally. So when I hear cult, there are
there's
different.
cutesy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Some people feel like because they were in a very difficult environment that was super religious and had a lot of constraints, they would identify that as under a slang term cult. But you were actually in a cult environment.
Like literally, sir, it's a church with no name.
Okay, okay,
Like we're talking about a homeless ministry. We are talking about taking things from the New Testament in a
mhm,
way that fit your narrative.
okay,
Um, a group of ministers where there is an overseer
okay.
who is a male,
Okay.
and that person controls all the decision making. There are women within the ministry, but
Mhm.
are they are um, they are handmaidens, they are helpers. They can preach.
Mhm.
They cannot lead in the sense that they cannot be decision makers and so on and so forth.
I'm
I'm
familiar with those types of
learning
structures. Yeah.
I'm learning that there are some women, ironically enough, some of the female ministers that I had this deep respect for, I am learning are probably some of the biggest perpetrators, which is not
Okay.
lost on me because they exuded power.
So give me a little bit of the background. We the audience, neither I for the most part. Of course, I know a little bit about you, know who you are just yet, but we're about to find out. We're going into
Yeah,
we're beelining into
you drew the short straw.
storyline here. Before we segue into this a little bit, we'll come back to this. Why don't we just give brief introductions? Um, Maya, tell me about who you are and where you're at in your life, and then we'll beeline back into this
Okay.
cult thing.
So I'm an academic life coach for college students.
Okay.
I am the person we all wish we had in college.
Hmm.
I'm a first generation college student, did not grow up in an environment where college was part of the conversation. I had relatives who encouraged college. My grandpa was an oral surgeon in the Air Force, so
Nice.
clearly a well-educated man.
Hmm.
However, my grandpa was black, so let's just have some fun with that because my mom and her twin were born out of wedlock and in 1950, and because my grandma just thought she would like upset a few more people, she got married when they were four to a highly ranked man in the Air Force who happened to be black.
Are you mixed?
Um, no,
You look.
because my
You're white.
mom, blonde and blue eyed as they get, sir, blonde and blue eyed as they get. Um, no, because my mom and her twin, their paternal parent, who none of us know, was a white man, but
Okay.
their dad, who adopted them,
Okay.
was not.
Okay. I see. So there's adoption. There's an adoption. There's an adoption.
He adopted them and gave them his name,
Okay.
which to me is incredibly honorable.
Yeah.
That like like for a hot minute here, let's talk about culture and privilege.
Mhm.
These kids had privilege by the grace of a man who was the descendant of slaves.
Yeah. It probably existed it still existed in an era that was not fully accepting
The
of
50s, like
yeah,
this is the 50s. This is a
yeah,
man who was a surgeon in the Air Force,
yeah,
and their access to privilege was because of him.
yeah. That's amazing. That is an amazing storyline.
Right? Like it makes me sad that when I began to realize this, um, he was no longer alive. So I could not have this conversation. Like
Oh,
that
geez.
is like the one part that I'm like a little ripped off about is that I really wish that like I could say to him, like, because of you, because you extended privilege to
Yeah,
the majority. You extended privilege to the privileged.
yeah. This is interesting. This is interesting. I don't even know whether that type of dynamic, how often that type of dynamic even took place in that generation, that dispensation. You know what I mean? I just,
Yeah.
talk about an occurrence there. African American male takes on two young ladies and adopts them, into a
Two
mixed family system.
two baby blonde white girls.
Right.
I
Um,
mean, this is not, quote, an interracial marriage. This is taking on a family. Like the amount of selflessness to
mhm.
do that bears bears noted.
Yeah,
That
your grandmother had to been an amazing person too. It must have been an amazing relationship
well,
for that to take
okay.
place. I mean,
So
he's a surgeon.
maybe
Yeah.
what I have heard, what I have been
Okay.
told, because as is the case with any any with that generation, right?
Mhm.
What I am told is that it was a relationship fraught with dysfunction and discord.
Mm,
She was highly volatile,
mm,
was an addict,
mm,
um, and maybe we would even say, I don't know, I'm making some pretty bold assumptions here, but as a physician, he kept her in the place where her addiction, he was not, I'm not going to say he was an enabler. What I am going to say is I don't doubt for a minute that he had access to things to help her be a functioning addict.
mm. Okay. How much I mean, knowing this, at some point you figured this out, figured out it was your grandfather. At some point, at what have you done any back I mean, to what extent have you done background and research on this here? Like what's your have
Like
you
it,
like,
what I like, all the things I would like to know,
mhm,
I'll never know.
mm,
And like, so I'm the oldest daughter. So
mhm,
already I'm a disruptor.
mhm,
Like when we're looking at family units, right? Like I'm
yeah,
already a disruptor as the oldest daughter.
mhm,
Um, and so I, this is just something that I don't like. I give it energy from time to time and I think about it. Did like 23andMe, tried to figure out who my maternal grandfather was, kind
mm,
of kind of spent some time like real serious about it.
mhm,
Um, and then realize that to be able to get that information would mean that I would have to navigate some really complex relationships that,
mm,
as the oldest daughter person,
mhm,
it would not, it would be real complicated. And
mm,
like my, like who I am as a person and my well-being takes
mhm.
precedent over really finding this stuff out. Am I curious? Absolutely. Would I love to know more? Absolutely. Do I kind of wish that I could be on Finding Your Roots? 100%. But like,
Would it be like poking the bear kind of ish? Is like,
oh, it actually would be poking a den of hyenas.
oh, okay. All right,
Like,
duly noted. But what an
I'm,
amazing, what an
yeah.
amazing overall story. As far as, geez, how does that affect the culture of the family system going forward? Is that, you know, it's
So
two
many
layers. Yeah,
things.
it was two
Yes.
layers. It's the multicultural aspect. You guys are more culturally aware. There's a generation upon generation who's a little bit more culturally aware. And then there is the dysfunctionality, which is the sort of toxic concoction that is here. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, it's like, in all honesty, like this is like somebody could literally commit themselves to a life work of starting from the very beginning of this. Like, you
mm,
know, there's the white side of the family that immigrated from Germany
Mhm.
and came to the Midwest, and so on and so on and so on. And then there's the black side of the family that, what I know, they are descendants of slaves. And
Mhm.
when they were freed, I have no idea where, when, who, how. I don't have that information. Um, but that is a lineage of, like, that is a lineage of trauma, and that
Yeah.
unshaking that is pretty big, because some of it is trauma you're born into, right?
Mhm.
And then some of it is inherited by your environment.
Right.
But either way, that's a lot of stuff. That's a brew. Like, that
Yeah.
is a brew.
Impacts the decision making. It there's just cause and effect, right? That's based
A
off of the
100%
generational trauma,
cause and effect. Like,
right?
nonstop cause and effect.
So this gets back to you. You are you grow up in an environment that you don't trust. At some point, you realize,
Like,
you're,
now,
yeah.
like an environment that now I have had to negotiate the, like, so these people that fed and clothed me,
Hmm.
wow.
When did you find that out?
So, the from, like, in reference to the church.
Right.
So in May of 23, yeah, in May of 23, um the Pacific Northwest overseer, so would have been the overseer of, like, Oregon, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, I think.
May of
Found,
23,
uh-huh,
2023.
yeah.
All right, keep going.
Is found dead in a hotel room.
Okay.
And so then other ministers, find him in this hotel room. This
Hmm.
is a homeless ministry. People don't stay in hotel rooms, they stay in people's homes. So the fact that this man is found in a hotel room unalive is already some red flags, right? Like, we've already got some red flags here.
Hmm.
And so then they recover a laptop. And oops, there's a bunch of stuff on this laptop that everybody is surprised about.
Okay.
And then they find out that, like, this guy actually was a frequent flyer at this hotel and had lots of women coming and going out of this hotel. And you are supposed to be celibate and all of these things.
Okay.
And then a letter is written to all of the elders of that region, to the effect of, this has happened. We may have let this sit for about 4 months, but we decided to take it to the police and they're investigating it.
Mm.
But just hang tight, nothing to worry about. We're pretty sure it's a one off.
Mm.
And then Pandora's box breaks wide open, and people start, all of a sudden, people who had never talked start
Mm.
talking. And then within the United States, it blows wide open to, like, well, yeah, I was sexually abused. I was physically abused. I was emotionally abused. I was mentally abused. Oh yes, my parents' marriage, they were not allowed to divorce even though it was an abusive and unsafe environment. The list
Mm.
just goes on and on and on. Oh yeah, there is no account for money. Like, nobody knows where the money comes from and how and what. And everybody seems to be really unsure about what's going on.
Mhm.
And, like, the people who we would think would know are like, I don't know anything. And it just keeps progressing forward to the
Okay.
point that the FBI begins an investigation.
Were you a part of the church all the way up to 2023? Am I?
Yeah, like, we stopped actively going probably early 21, but still like, you know,
That's post
had
COVID.
yeah,
Okay. So this is a huge part of this new transition in life. This is a huge eye opening. Um,
like uh
yeah, culture shock,
you might want to
change.
beep
Yeah,
this. Holy fuck.
yeah. What? Is this the non-denominational church, or
It's a
is it rooted in any
non-denominational.
background? People love to use
No,
non-denominational, don't they?
like, you know,
Um,
rooted in the New Testament,
okay,
appointed by God, chosen people, the
yeah,
only way, a chosen generation, very much. So
okay,
much we were so much like we're gonna take that, we're gonna we're gonna go ahead and pull that line and apply it everywhere. Like,
okay.
how come the women don't cut their hair, don't wear jewelry? How come the women are held to a standard of modesty
Hmm.
and the men are not?
Hmm.
And how come the women cannot participate in X, Y, and Z, but the men can? Kind of conversations. Well, that's because you are a chosen generation from a royal priesthood.
Okay.
Mhm.
I've been in around Christianity since I was a kid, but the, but I've seen the spectrum of different thoughts. Some acceptable, some a little bit questionable. Some I just don't have enough evidence to question. Um, you know, and some are just like, I know that ain't right, but that's just my personal opinion.
Right?
But
No, like 100%. Yeah.
um, so some of the stuff I'm hearing, I've heard of it at different segments of churches that I've even accepted. I've accepted as okay, they're doing their they're doing their best. They don't believe in like for instance female preachers. They don't believe
Yeah.
female preachers. They're doing their best. That's just what they believe.
Yeah.
Um, or the different types of versions of or renditions of particular denominational pieces, like is Jesus the Son of God or is Jesus God, and that whole debate. I've sort of seen the spectrum enough to say that there's a little bit of a spectrum of thought as it relates to religion that you just have to figure out what you latch on to and what convicts you the most. You're coming out of this, you're coming out of the situation, and I can imagine you're probably pissed off at religion at this point. Yes.
100%. Yeah, like
Okay.
we're not doing that thing. We're not doing that thing.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm not. No, what I will say is that because because when like when I graduated from high school, I mean a week later, I was like, deuces, I'm out. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I'm gone. And moved away.
Okay.
Um and like as my opportunity grew to meet people that were not within the church, like
Hmm.
going, like being in the workplace, going to college,
Right.
living in different towns, living in different cities, living in different states, and so on and so forth. Um, I will say that I definitely had like dumped the whole there's only one way, I am a chosen, only I will have salvation, like
Hmm.
that. I was like meh. um and even really grew to appreciate different denominations and different belief systems.
Hmm.
um I will say that I feel like probably I probably when I was younger had a like sense of I'm exclusive. Um
Yeah.
yeah, like that exclusive thought, because that was very much the thought, like we are so exclusive. I mean,
Yeah.
the reason this church doesn't have a name is because it doesn't need a name. Because if you know, you know.
Right. I come from a little bit of a similar
Yeah, like you got
background.
the revelation
Right.
and somebody gave you the golden ticket. You don't need to find this church in a church directory, because if it was available to everybody, then we would not be a chosen people.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I can understand that energy to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I think there's a spectrum of churches that feel like they are their denominational set. They are the chosen one, and nobody else is going to go to heaven unless you believe exactly what they believe, exactly how they believe it.
Like 100% work out your own salvation with these unspoken rules.
Mm,
But if you don't follow the rules, we'll let you know. For example, I'm the child of a sing. An unplanned. I'm an unplanned pregnancy, right?
right.
So my mom is in the church,
Mhm.
and of course, there are single men who are just thoroughly enraptured, right? Like, I will marry this woman and save this child and save this woman. I'm going to give them and provide for them. And
Yeah.
apparently, girl had a full dance card, is what I have been told, right?
Okay.
And then the ministers intervened and said, you should probably marry the child's parent. You should probably marry the father of this child, because that's really what God would approve.
Mm.
You should probably do that.
And
We're
then
going to
she.
find him. We're going to find him,
Oh
and,
wow.
and we're going to bring him here.
Oh wow.
And, uh huh,
This is interesting. Okay.
uh-huh, we're gonna bring him to the same town, and he's going to live with a matriarch within the church, and we're gonna get him on his feet. Now, all of this is unspoken, but the dots just connect.
Okay.
Like,
So
how do we go from unknown on my birth certificate of where this person is to within the span of 4 years, person is located, moves to the same town, lives with a matriarch within the church, has a job within the church, da 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 da, the list goes on. These
did
are
your
not
did,
just things that happen.
did your mother end up marrying this your
Mm-hmm.
father?
Mm-hmm.
From the belief system that was who she was supposed to marry.
Yeah, you should,
Interesting.
like, let's see if I mean, I would believe, and hearing what I hear from other people, that it was presented as, you should really try and give this a go.
So then do you have a relationship with your father at that point? You don't know who your father is. Now your
No, I
father's
mean, I'm
coming into
like
your life.
introduced to this guy.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Okay. Um, it definitely makes for an eclectic background and experience. Um, needless to say, damaged by the church, like on a thousand different levels, like a thousand knives in the back here. Um, how does one, you're from what I hear, you're 2 or 3 years out from coming from out from that type of background. What caused you to stay in for so long, even though you did go out after high school, and you did explore the world? What made you attached to the denominational sect even up to that point?
So these are the people that genuinely fed and clothed me.
Yeah.
These are the
Okay.
people that provided shelter.
Right. There's still that nurturing
These
relationship. Right. Go ahead.
these are the people
Okay.
these are the people who could be trusted.
Yeah.
These are the people who stayed in my home.
Mm.
These are the people that, when our home was boarded up because there was no income and no financial resources, these are the people whose homes we lived in.
Mm.
Like,
So this is your second family, pretty much. I mean, it's
first family.
yeah, yeah. Um, so you stay connected, you stay involved and meshed in the faith,
Hmm.
even though you don't fully agree with it. At what point do you recognize that, hey, I'm not fully aligned here, but I'm still staying attached to them?
2016.
2016, which is still that's still within this particular range here. I mean that's that's in your what are you going. I mean, I'm not trying to state your age or anything like that, but
Oh
that's
no, you
going
can.
into you're an adult, full fledged adult at that point. still locked into the church system. And at some point you come to a crossroads where you say, I'm not fully aligned or don't fully see with everything they're talking about, but I'm not going to reject my family kind of issue. I don't know.
So at the time we lived in a suburb of Dallas, Texas. And mind you, by that point, I had lived in California, Oregon, Washington, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. So I've lived in multiple states. I know people, like, I don't know a lot of people in the middle, but I got lots of people on the coastlines. And so we live in a suburb of Dallas, and our neighborhood is predominantly it's like a UN, predominantly Indian. However, we have a good, like, we have some Afghanis, we have Pakistanis, we have some Eastern Europeans who are there on asylum, and then we have like a smattering of other Asian countries represented as well. So our neighborhood is like I mean, like the kind of, like, I want that. Like, give me a good mix, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the night of the election. I have, with intention, not verbally articulated to my child like how I feel about the people who are on the ticket. I have a lot of feelings and I have a lot of concerns, but I have not, like, the husband tends to run very neutral on a lot of things. Like, he's real good at like sitting on the fence when necessary. And I'm like, no, like, I'm clearly on one side of the fence or the other. So for his sake, and also because one of the things that is really important to me as a parent is that I'm not influencing the way my kid thinks. Like, I'm not influencing my kid's thoughts and belief system. I want my kid to formulate his own thoughts and belief systems. And so it's the night of the election, and our boy says to us, he's in third grade, and his school by this point, he is the only white male in third grade. So he is highly favored. Like, all the teachers love the white boy because the rest of these kids are coming from countries and cultures that are unrelatable, right? So this kid is like star of the show. And so we're going to bed, and he says, I really hope that this person is not elected. And I say, well, how come? Like, this is the first we've had this conversation. And he says, because all of my friends will be deported. And I said, what? And he goes, yeah, because they're all here on the visa that he's going to get rid of. And all of them are going to have to leave and go back to India. And now, like, this kid is highly emotional. Like, this kid's like feeling like clearly his peers, third graders, like, these babies are having this conversation. I'm so sorry. So like, these kids are talking about this, right? And so I'm like, I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, you're trying to ease your kids' worries. So the next morning, like, I didn't sleep that night, and it's daylight, and I'm like, this is big. Like, this is like the dawn of some big stuff, people. Like, things are gonna get real crazy around here. And so I post to social media. This is not what I thought. This is not how I saw things going. And I genuinely am concerned. I'm genuinely concerned about the welfare of the greater portion of the people in this country. And I'm genuinely concerned about how things are going to go. And two people that I have known from the church since childhood, I mean, I have lived in their homes. These are like people whose parents have cared for me and provided for me. Begin a verbal assault of what a terrible parent I am, that my kid would believe that this was going to ruin a country.
Well, let me get some backdrop here. You and your husband, you're married at this point.
Yeah.
You and your husband are enmeshed in the church. You're still actively going to church, attending
still
church,
doing all the
community.
things.
Your kids are active in the church. Now, how many kids you got at this point?
We
One
have
kid.
one.
Your
Yeah.
child is actively in church. He's enmeshed. Your family, your church family, is obviously his family. I mean, they put it like their
Yes.
great grandparents at
Yes,
this point.
very much
Okay.
so. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. So that's a little bit of the backdrop to this
Yeah.
at this point in your life.
Yes.
Politics, always such an interesting
Right?
thing. Social
And
media.
I'll own it. Like, I'm in Texas and I didn't know I was a liberal till I moved to Texas. Like, shocker. I I actually worked in the California state legislature for a Republican. I did not know that I was a liberal till I moved to Texas. So, I'm like obviously with my wild ideas of equity and equality are like this wild idea, right? Because
Right.
apparently we don't do that here. And so then a verbal assault begins. And
Mhm.
then it's like all of these people that I have known from the church for my whole life. I mean, it is just this thread of like how delusional I am and how I'm ruining my child. And what a pity, like sympathy for the husband to have to live with somebody who would believe these things. I mean, it is just like bonkers, right? And a friend of mine from college pops in and is like, no, like you obviously don't know this woman. That is not who she is. Step back. Do
So
not criticize her parenting because she's worried about her kid who is expressing his concern about all his friends being deported.
yeah,
I mean,
let me zoom in on something because I know church dynamics all too well, and I know strict church all too well.
yeah,
Usually in church structure, you have your bad eggs. You have
yeah.
people who can change, and then the pastor finds out about it, and he balances everybody out with a little bit of balanced correction.
Mm,
How does that play in regards to the hierarchy of the church? With
um,
regards to dealing with people who end up members of the church who end up having conflict with one another? Does it end up getting handled by the pastor? Long story short, or how does this? Because the word gets back to the pastor. I mean,
yeah.
the congregation members are airing out stuff. The pastor's aware of it. How does that get mitigated in the church system?
Okay, this is such a good question because I don't think I ever witnessed that.
Mm.
Like, I'm okay. This is where the husband and I would be like, and once again, I fail to be surprised about something. Um, this is bonkers that you would ask this question, and I genuinely cannot answer this question because I can't. Yeah, no, I cannot think of a time that ever happened. I mean, it
Okay.
must have happened. I know that had to have happened to different people. Like I know.
Okay. Usually when the stuff happens like this, there's like a saints meeting. I know
Oh,
I know this
sure. No,
all too well. I know this
100%
background
there
all too
is
well.
a saints meeting.
Right.
Why are we not gathering these people and saying, time out? We
Right.
do not do that.
Yeah. So there's no intervention by the pastor.
There is no intervention by anybody from the church on this thread.
There's no. Do you ever bring this energy to the church and say or how did you handle this?
So,
how did you handle this as relations to the church?
well, okay. So at the time, we're living in Texas, and
Mm-hmm.
pretty much I'm of the belief because I haven't had this conversation with anybody in the church because politics weren't ever discussed in the church.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I haven't had this conversation of like, hey, it's a little weird that these people that I've known my whole life and worshiped with and who love my soul
Yeah.
are perfectly okay calling me out on a public platform about my character as a person and a parent and a spouse and so on and so forth. Like, this is a little weird, isn't it? Um,
Mhm.
no, I don't think I talked to anybody from the church about it. I
Why didn't you? Let me ask you that.
This is a
Why?
really good question. Why didn't I?
Yeah.
Why didn't I? Okay, Larry, to this question, um, so 2017 was a what I called annibus horribilis for our family.
Okay.
It was really, really tough year. The the husband had worked in college athletics his whole career, and in
Okay.
2017, he and two coworkers were reorganized.
Okay.
And three young or five fresh college grads were brought in. So this man's whole identity has just come, like just come to a screeching halt.
Mhm.
Um, so that happened. Like, the year was a pretty rough year. I mean, it was just like a consecutive big earth shaking things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and so, like, within 30 days of him finding that out, I had a shooting on the campus I worked on.
Okay.
And seven coworkers and I holed up in an office for 5 hours.
Wow. Okay.
Oh yeah, like a student came, took the life of another student.
Whoa.
About I mean, 100 yards, like, away from the entrance of my office, down an open stairwell at the bottom of this open stairwell.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, like, I can tell you everything about it,
Okay.
how it sounds, how it smells, what it
Okay.
looks like, all of it.
Yeah.
Um, so, it's like this kind of stuff is consecutively happening to us in
Okay.
2017. And
Okay.
we're struggling. I mean, we are
Mhm.
struggling, people. And so I have this shooting happen. It's all over the news. It's everywhere. I mean,
Mhm.
like, we had it was the real thing.
Okay.
Um, Two people from the church reached out to me. Two, two.
So, is that an effect of what happened earlier, or is it like?
I think that is when I truly began to genuinely question, do these people love my soul?
Okay.
Because what has made me have absolute belief and acceptance in
Mhm.
everything about this church
Okay.
is that these people love my soul and that we
Okay.
would lay down our lives for our brother.
That community, the
Yeah.
strong family community. I want to take it back to a question. So this is transpired in 2017. The
Yeah.
incident happened in 2016. The question still lingers for me. What? How you handled that? Like, was there so much going on at the time between those times that there really just wasn't time to like truly have a strong conversation about this? Like, what what's going on
So,
at your life at the time
in
that sort of creates this blockage from
yes.
trying to hold people accountable, or at least make the larger hierarchy aware of some of the disruptions within the members system?
So, somewhere in there,
Hmm.
our boys' guardians, who were part of the church when we had lived in San Diego,
Hmm.
um, these are people, like, obviously we trusted to raise our child. The husband has a massive heart attack while out on a hike
Hmm.
and ends up dying. Like, they try to save him, and so on and so forth. And
Hmm.
I mean, we are just like, that was, I will have to say, like, that is when we break. That's when we break. I mean, we are
Okay.
just sideways by now because we are
Okay.
like, it just won't, like, the hits keep coming. And like these people that we loved and
Okay.
who loved us and got us through the beginnings of parenting and loved us and kept us as new parents, like when you are really like your most vulnerable. um n- and now they have this tremendous loss, and it's all too much. Like, this is all too much, and we are just broken. And so we go to church on Sunday, and so on Sundays in the morning you had a fellowship meeting.
Okay.
And then in the afternoon was more like a traditional church service called a gospel meeting.
Mhm.
And so in the fellowship meeting, you you speak. You speak during prayer, and then you would have a testimony portion, and you speak during that. And I am just like, I can't even stay composed. Like, I am just like, I can't keep it together. Like, the
Yeah.
emotion is raw and evident and just wild, right?
Right. Flooded with emotion. Okay.
And
Hmm.
so, the service is over and everyone's like cutesy. Like, nobody is like, hey, do you need something? Like, are you good? And so it's like cutesy and everything. And so we're walking out, and the elder of our fellowship meeting says, hey, are you guys okay? Like, you just, Maya, like, you seem pretty upset. And I'm like, yeah, like, let me run down my list, right? And
Okay.
and he goes, yeah, that is a lot.
Nothing
And
else.
we're just standing there. Like, I just remember we're just standing there and we're like, yeah, no lie, dude. Like, you think? We're
Um,
trying to navigate this wild west right now and figure this shit out. And like, you think?
yeah.
And was like, oh, I'm so sorry about the shooting. I didn't even know that happened. And it's like, how did you not know it was happened? Like, how did you not know that was happened? I actually think you forgot where I work. Actually, I think you probably heard about it, but you don't even remember where I work, which is like totally confounding to me. So yeah, like, I'm not buying that you didn't hear about it. And we get in the car,
Mhm.
and the husband and I look at each other and we're like, yeah, no, this like, these aren't our people.
Okay.
Like,
So the community
what?
dynamics have changed.
Yeah, that is like
Um,
when we really felt, I feel like we really had that, like, this ain't this ain't what we thought it was.
yeah.
And so then um so we our attendance starts dropping,
Okay.
right? We're showing up less.
Okay.
People are hearing from us less. And so then a minister reaches out to me and is like, we're just really worried because we haven't seen you at church, kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, girl, let me just rattle off a few goodies here for you. And it's like, oh, well, that's a lot. We'll be praying for you. Girl, I don't need thoughts and prayers right now. We're like, we're literally trying, like, we are literally forcing ourselves to function on a daily basis. Like, sister friend, I stopped talking for a week. Okay. Like, this is not a thoughts and prayers situation.
This is interesting. This is interesting. Uh, Definitely a plugin from my mental health, right?
Yeah.
Says
Oh my
says
gosh, right?
nobody. So they prayed for you. Did anybody recommend seeing a therapist or being able to process your experience?
Like, no, like, literally, I remember when she said, like, we'll be praying for you. I literally looked at the husband and I was like, that's cute and all, but like, what we actually need is some like pretty intense therapy right now. Like, we're just trying to, like, you know what? That's cute. I appreciate that you're gonna pray for me, but like, could you slip me a few Hyundais and a good therapist name? Because like, we're dying here. Like, we have lost, like, this man has lost, his whole career has come to an end
Yeah.
unceremoniously. He's trying to figure out, like, he's like mid 40s and trying to figure out, like, what do I do with myself? My whole career has been about working on college campuses and serving college students. And I literally drag myself daily to go to work because I'm still not okay with what happened at my workplace. And we're not talking about it there either.
Wow.
Like, I mean, we
The,
closed campus for 4 days. Everybody came back and we are in the swing of things. Let's go.
the campus doesn't have any didn't have any protocol. I mean, even on their end with regards to find the supportive services available or promoting supportive services to help individuals process through the experience.
So we had some group sessions that if your supervisor gave you time away, approved time from your workday, you could go and sit with one of the group sessions.
Okay, but yeah, it's like the wink and the nod. There's like, if
But you're probably really busy. Are you sure? Are you sure? In fact, I remember a coworker said, like, I think I'm gonna go do that. And I was like, yeah, you should. And then she said, yeah, like, I guess we're just so busy that we really can't not have anybody in the office because we really need to support the students. And I remember thinking to myself, how the fuck are we supposed to be supporting the students when we literally are like this? Like, I mean, we are like our level of vigilance is like off the charts right now.
let me ask you something. We're definitely gonna have to have. I'm definitely gonna have a part 9 with you at some point. It's gonna be like 2 hours each year. Okay. Um, you definitely you've got a book to write, first of all. So let me put that in your shot though.
I have the preface. I actually have the prefaces written. The like, the little title page.
Yeah.
So do you know who Anne Lamott is?
No, but
Oh, she's a
go ahead, shoot.
fantastic writer. She's a
Okay.
fantastic writer. And she has a line from one of her books that says, well, here, hold on. I need to give Anne credit where it's due.
Yeah.
And it says, um, you own everything that happened to you. Tell your stories. If people wanted you to write warmly about them, they should have behaved better.
Oof. Ooh, bars. Drop the mic on that one. Yeah. You know,
Like real talk, people, real talk.
you, you know, um, your experience is unique. I'm trying. One of the things that I wonder that is probably one of my complaints in the church system. Me being a mental health counselor, me being in the helping field, and seeing a huge disparity or disconnect between the church and mental health, and also seeing a major disconnect between the church and healing. That's the major premise point. And
Okay. Yes.
yeah, that
We
is
have
it.
the great
Yeah.
physician. We have the great physician. And so, therefore, why should you believe that you wouldn't be healed in his time?
But how is that instituted? How is the discipline of faith and relationship with God instituted? It's so because that then becomes that is maybe even a justified buffer to mental health. If there
It's,
is a
yeah.
structure that teaches individuals to have their independent relationship with God in such a way where their faith in the relationship with God can possibly carry them through their whatever traumatic experience. Like that's valid case if it's instituted, which I think a lot of churches just miss because we're so hooked on the message, we're so hooked on the culture that we forget the primary point of what is everybody's personal growth in the individual development as it relates to training and growing to have an independent individual relationship with God. So my question is, obviously I see a huge
Yeah.
grievance there, but how does that was that ever did you ever get that type of messaging through your church experience?
Oh,
And
100%.
did
You
it
don't need
help?
to, well, no, I mean the messaging of like we don't need therapists. We have prayer.
But what about growth in relationship with God as it relates to pain and suffering? There is a message in that
Oh,
is so
well,
important
that's
in the church.
because, well, see, pain and suffering, Larry. Okay, I'm going to sound really condescending, but this is like the emotion behind it.
Yeah.
Pain and God doesn't give you more than you can handle.
Okay.
Pain and suffering, I mean, my pain and suffering is no comparison to a homeless ministry.
Okay.
These people have given their lives to a homeless ministry. They don't have jobs and they just live in people's homes, and they have forsaken everything. They only have, they only have the clothes on their back, and they are like, my pain and suffering. I have a home and
Okay.
a life and just a perfect and all the things. And like,
Okay.
my pain and suffering pales by comparison.
Okay.
Like,
Emphasis on
always
comparison.
downplayed
Yeah.
by, because the ministry truly has sacrificed, and our sacrifices are
Mhm.
paling in comparison, but also we are sacrificing to uphold the ministry.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like there is part of that is true, but without proper context, it throws it completely off. Like
But
the Bible says, we have not a high priest that cannot be touched by but feelings of our infirmities. So we have a God that understands how we feel. We have a God that understands that we suffer. But then there's other scriptures that say that in that Christ suffered in the flesh, arm yourself likewise. And I think that's where my headspace is how does the church prepare the saints for pain and suffering that will surely come to everyone?
okay, so this is so crazy. So there's this podcast I just literally found out about. So one of the church with no name,
Mhm.
one of like the names were like the way, the truth, and then the people who belonged are the friends. Okay. And so there's this podcast I just found out about called Connected and Concerned Friends.
Mhm.
And the reason I found out about it is because three women were just on it. And one of them I've known my whole life, like known since we were children. The
Mhm.
other one, her sister was my first roommate when I moved away from home.
Okay.
And so they did this podcast about instituting safety protocols within the church. And they did it through an organization called Grace.
Mhm.
It's like gospel ready something something. And so what they're going to do is the goal was to institute safety protocols within the church, and also um training for ministers to to become mandated reporters, and so
Mhm.
on and so on and so forth. And so
Okay.
these women, I got like halfway through it, and then I don't know, something happened and I haven't finished watching it, unfortunately, but I'm going to go back to it. But where I'm going with this is, one of the women actually tells the story of how it came to be, how it came where overseers were going to hand pick people who would be like, oversee the grace trainings and so on and so forth, right? And
Mhm.
she is doing all the administrative work part of it. And so she gets called for a meeting by some overseers, like a male overseer, and then some older male ministers.
Mhm.
And basically they say to her, we're pulling you off because you we can't really trust you,
Okay.
because your attendance has kind of been iffy, and sometimes you say things that put people off, and
Mhm.
sometimes we feel like your spirit's not really Christ-like,
Okay.
and so on and so forth. That is how much the level of control supersedes the care of the souls of the people who are part of the
Mm.
church.
You said a whole lot in one sentence. When the church institutes regulation and control, and how it overrides the care for their members. Mm.
Like, how can you love the soul of an individual if you are constantly held back by, would this be approved by these men
Yeah.
and some of the powerful women?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm. I think this dynamic represents not an uncommon sort of pro and con to organized structure.
So much, right?
Structure. You know what I'm saying? Like the pro
Yeah.
is organized institutions should advance over time, where you should have protocols on how individuals get promoted throughout the church, and how services, how ministry gets rendered to the members.
Yes.
The problem with it is when there's so much established structure that people forget to be led by the spirit of love and concern for the members.
Or even like, are you being led by the spirit, quote, the
Yes,
spirit, or are
versus the
you
law.
led by your
Yeah,
interpretation of it? Because, like, hadn't ever thought about this power dynamic, but when these people are speaking, these like highly ranking members of the ministry are speaking, they are the mouthpieces of what has been revealed to them by God. But they get the revelation that we are unable to get.
interesting. There is a such thing
Right?
as the preaching of the pulpit, to activate faith.
Yeah.
But and there is such thing as me hearing revelation from God and that benefiting it. But the way you frame it, it's almost like they are sort of demigods within the structure of the church.
Oh, no, they are 100% demigods.
Okay.
Because why else? Okay. Because why else would people be compelled to? So the church has these events that are called convention, and they happen once a year.
Okay.
Okay. And it's in a region, and everybody goes there and they stay for 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And there are structures for worship services, and there are structures for sleeping, and there are structures for dining, and there's a full infrastructure for basically a sleepaway camp. Okay.
Okay.
There's a full infrastructure. There are families that literally buy property and build this thing, build a sleepaway camp, and that is its sole purpose.
Yeah.
You can't use that for other things.
Everything is surrounded around the ministry and not to support. This you gonna hit a pain point. You gonna end up hitting a pain point on my end. I don't. There's gonna be some counter transference over here.
Oh, you
'Cause
come on over, sir. You come on
yeah.
over.
No, I'm with you because I get exactly what you're talking about. When the church is so concerned about building up the church that they forget that it is about building up the people within the church, and how do we support one another. And I think that's an underlying theme as we talk about your narrative of everybody's concerned about church protocol. Everybody's concerned about the concept of prayer. Nobody is concerned about us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, Larry, think about that. Family, you are asking a family to buy enough property to host a sleepaway camp for like 5, 6, 700 people.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my husband just lost his job. Meanwhile, you know, and nobody's lifted a hand of support or pulling of resources to help our family in need. But the ministry supersedes the needs of the members who support the ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah, message received, pet peeve aligned. That is a huge that is a huge when I see it, when I hear a church, and boy, I've been around them. that talk more about the building fund than they do about the people that they do about how do we support the people within the church. It
Yes.
is an automatic disconnect. And when I
No.
see the pattern,
Yes.
I'm slowly taking a step back from that stuff.
Like,
I'm
and
like, what's
even like, if you think about this, so like, I'm living in a house, right? Like as a kid.
yeah.
And this woman has two kids, and um her spouse is somewhat unreliable. Like my dude is pretty unreliable.
Mhm.
And but you're coming and staying at her house, and she is feeding you like we're eating government cheese.
Yeah.
And this woman is feeding you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this kind of this kind of like you're shopping for a home, and someone, if they find out within the church, if they find out, the question is going to be, are there enough room for the workers to stay? Or does it have a room that can hold enough people for a worship service?
Yeah, I'm all about I'm all about the balance between ministry and helping people. Like I do understand that there's a need
Yeah.
to there's some people who don't believe in church. They don't believe in the structure of church, and I'm probably that part I'm not fully aligned with either. I do believe that it's that church is the advancement of of relationship, like you talked about. Like I do believe that the core component of relationships between a man and a woman that gets expounded into a community of people, right? You go from Adam and Eve all the way to the lineage of Adam and Eve, all the way to and then the modern church represents organized structure as it relates to that central concept of relationship and how important relationship is in personal development or growth or purpose even. So I understand church structure and I agree. I'm aligned with it. I think I agree, but I also see and agree. And when your story hits home with regards to how sometimes you can get so enmeshed in church culture and ministry that you miss the people that are actually making it not only making it happen, but the people that need ministry in the form of support rather than ministry in the form of biblical knowledge or biblical rhetoric or church institution rhetoric kind of issue.
It's like it's the like along these lines, I'm always going to be a little annoyed
Mhm.
about a local church going and doing a mission trip
Mhm.
in a poor country or an undeveloped country
Yeah,
when literally like
right down the street. Yeah,
why don't you go over to the local
I
laundromat?
gotta look.
Like
We gotta cut this. We gotta cut this short today. I gotta cut this short. I feel like cutting it short. We've been on here for a good minute, but I gotta I gotta cut short today. I'm gonna
no, you're good.
this
You're
is part
good.
one. This is part one. We've definitely got a hook of conversation between us, and definitely I can feel the energy. And there's also a little bit of empathetic energy from the standpoint of someone who has been in some parts of his life damaged and understands about how to recover from that and figure out what does life look like on the other end of church damage. What does it look like as far as on the other end? Let's call even further in your circumstance, church trauma. I mean, what a jacked
Well,
up, you know.
yes, but like not in the context of, oh, church trauma, but in the context of this happens and this church has been allowed to behave like this. And even with an FBI investigation, it is still not being shut down.
Yeah, my big question for you as it relates to I use the word trauma. This is part two to this.
Okay.
Um, would you classify the experience as emotional and mental abuse? That is
Undeniably.
okay.
Undeniably.
I
That's
want
why I
to
went to the FBI.
I want to
Like,
unpack
yeah,
that. I want to
yeah.
unpack that the next time we talk.
Okay, I love
Um,
this.
yes, this is good. This is good energy. Healthy energy, because I'm not here to condemn, God, people of God or anything like that. That's not the
Yeah.
intent of this. The
No,
intent of this is a
this
great
is
story to highlight
yes, these
how people
are
get neglected.
well, also these are really important conversations to be having right now
Yeah,
because there is somehow a willingness to just believe and accept
mm.
without um without deep thought.
Yeah, we're in the age of the internet where that's becoming a little bit more open ground, open season, as far as that, and that's a good thing. I think there's pros and cons on both ends. I think I think that sometimes people go too far left because of the excessive abuse and trauma that they've experienced, and I think that some people go too far right with regards to saying no, this is safe. We don't want to tarnish the foundation, the structure of the church. And if we loosen it up any, if we decrease our focus any, we're going to dilute the structure of the church. So I hear and respect the arguments on the both ends. I just think there's a middle ground with regards to how do we challenge the church to grow? How do we challenge church, people of God, to grow?
How do we challenge each other?
Yeah, or what does church in that this again this is part 5 here down there. What does the true church look like? What
Yeah.
what 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 does it really mean to have church? I think that is what people, I hope, through the internet, through understanding some of the nuances, I hope that people eventually come to that conclusion, because that is a pure point. That is, what does it mean to have a pure relationship with God, holding hands with other people who are like minded? What does that really look like?
And also, Larry, like I've been to church in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm. The part 9 is diversity of the faith. What is what are the things that we should care about? And what are the things that we shouldn't be so locked in about? You know.
Yes. Yeah.
Um. Anyways, I gotta go.
No, you're good. Okay. Um,
Um.
I'm gonna
The last
send
comment is let
yes.
people know how they can reach out to you. So you
Oh geez. Well, okay, so I mean, I don't really want to tie this to my real
don't
business.
don't tie it.
Um,
Is so let me end maybe on a final question
yeah.
based off of what we talked about. Let's say somebody's looking at this, they felt what we felt. They're feeling that energy of, man, I really hear what they're talking about here. And maybe they're losing a sense of hope as it relates to their lack of hope in church or lack of hope in God. What
Or
advice would
just
you
in hope. Um,
Yeah, what
okay,
advice would you give them? Last word.
hope is it is the greatest possession that can be given away.
Mm, okay.
Like
Elaborate.
we like don't give it away. Even in like the deepest, darkest, hardest everythings, it may not look like quote unquote hope, but that thing we cling to, even like the thing we cling to in when nothing else looks like it's going to pull us out,
Yeah.
is hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you familiar
Like
with that quote?
when you are being like drug down a rushing river, that is the rope hanging from a tree that you grab and somehow takes you out of it. And it doesn't it does not come with a neon sign that says like, this is hope,
Yeah,
grab the rope. Like that is not what it is. Hope looks different for everyone in every place.
but there is always hope.
There is. And I know that sounds so trite. Like I know how trite that sounds. And I know that I don't necessarily remember or believe that 100% of the time, but it is genuinely like, it is like the greatest possession you can own, but it is the one that I think we are the quickest to give away.
All right.
Okay.
On that note, wrap it up.
Tune in tomorrow for more chaos and
Right.
mayhem.
So we definitely have to have further discussions.
Let's do it.
You definitely are a hoot to listen to,
Hey,
to exchange
thanks.
with. And I definitely think you have a story to tell. I hope that you at some point write a book. I would definitely. It's worth fleshing out because
No, it's
yeah, worth
I
fleshing
mean,
out.
I have an
Yeah,
editor. One of my dearest friends is like, "Girl, would you please write that book?" I know.
yeah.
You know what? Let me work
Yeah,
on that.
yeah. It's worth fleshing out. I mean, go all the way back to Granddad. Such a phenomenal from beginning to end type of
Yeah.
I think in my humble opinion, you're still figuring out the latter piece of that journey, or the part, I mean, you're just 2-3 years out from that structure. I would imagine you're still figuring that out. You feel like you figured it out. Yeah, I would imagine you're still fleshing that out a little bit.
So much, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but interesting so far. So I look forward to having another interview
Okay.
conversation with you.
We'll
If
do
you're okay
this.
with it.
I'll get myself on. I'll send you an email. We'll figure it out. We'll get our
Yeah,
calendars aligned.
yeah, we're gonna go back to back on this one here. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, this is good. All right.
I'm on it. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Talk to you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.